We're back for another episode of the Automator series, and today I'm with Najaam Phrsia Lee, and she is a spiritual coach from Boston, Massachusetts. That's always a tough one. And she's also the founder of Najaam Lee's Healng Tempal. So very, very off the bat, just thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me, Gavin. Yes, I live in Boston. I am born Canadian. Woo! Any Canadians out there? I love what I do. I'm a spiritual life coach, as you said, health, wellness consultant. I'm an intuitive reader and a Reiki master. I wrote a book. I authored a book called K.A.L.I, Kill Anxiety, Live Immensely. And basically it's a book about learning the secrets to removing the illusions we believe when we're anxious. And I'm also a motivational speaker and spiritual teacher at Spiritual Sessions Academy. And that's like my online school that I do for those that are on the path of awakening and self-discovery, and starting their spiritual journey. And last but not least, I am launching a new store. I'm excited. It's called Najaam Lee's Healing Shop, and that's najaamleeshealingshop.com. So I have a few things going on, but I'm super excited because they all lead into each other, so
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, really excited. And just to add on to that, from the things you've sent me before, and you also mentioned specifically that you're an expert in helping women find their voice and be courageous to speak up for themselves. So is that the overarching goal with everything you do? Everything is filling in that goal or working towards that goal?
Absolutely, because speaking up for yourself is speaking up yourself for mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, and I find that a lot of women, especially that I work with in my spiritual life coaching programs, the throat chakra is really, really not. That's an area that you hold a lot in. You don't want to speak your truth, or you're afraid to speak your truth. You're afraid of what other people may think. There's a lot of fear that surrounds the throat chakra, and which leads down to your base chakra. And with your root chakra, which is your base chakra, if the roots are not strong, then everything else leading up is affected. And I found when you are starting this path of self-discovery, there's a lot that's held in the past from childhood all the way up into adulthood that you hold right here and in your first chakra. So everything that I do is about releasing and aligning with your true self, and then stand in that true self with power, full on power, being courageous, and know that it's okay to speak up. It's okay to say no if you need to. We don't have to say yes, yes, yes all the time. You can say no. If you don't want to, or you don't agree, you can walk away. That power to initiate protection of self, but also vocalizing yourself in a powerful way.
Yeah, I can just tell from how the way you're speaking about it, like the passion and the power behind it. It's just like, this is your thing. And in regards to you mentioned your clients and the woman you're working with, are they also specific, almost shared things about them? Are there certain age groups? Are they from certain backgrounds? Or have you found yourself working with just a wide range of women?
It's a wide range of women from ages 25 to 65. It's like a wide range, different life paths, but they have all something in common, and that's they're seeking to find themselves, and also their voice, or the fear of speaking up for themselves, and standing in their truth. That's like the thread with all of them, that I find with women that I work with. And it doesn't matter from young, old, in between. Yeah, that's the thread.
Yeah. I mean, the amazing thing is, what I love is just that there are so many more people doing the work like you do. And as you mentioned, the age ranges aren't like 40 plus people having a midlife crisis, quote unquote. It's even young people saying like, already, I feel like I'm not aligned. I need to work on this. I think that's awesome to be in that mindset, even in the early 20s, because then you've got all those other years to continue developing from, as opposed to you're already kind of in your middle age, you're kind of further along type of thing.
Yes. I find like when they're younger, I'm excited because it's like you're going to cut things in half. It's not 80%.
Yeah.
Because you're starting early, you know. But what I do find is even when they're older and they come to that realization, they're gung-ho. They're really like, let's make it happen. And they work through the program really, really well. Like they're ready for whatever comes up, whatever they have to release, like they're ready. And that's really a blessing to see. And I enjoy it. I have fun with it. I enjoy the process because I'm right there with them. Like no one's left behind. I walk with you. Like you take a step, I take a step. You move to the right, I move to the right. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And just before we dive into your journey of how you ended up into this, I'd love to hear from you. For you, why do you feel people are more gung-ho in regards to like, hey, let me get this sorted, even though I'm in my early 20s, like I want to start working on this stuff. Why do you think it's become kind of a thing?
Oh, I think it's like a few aspects. First, we have the internet. We have social media. And the other part of that is it's like an awakening within yourself. I would say like for those that were born in the 30s, I mean like the 50s, the 60s, where you're following what you're told. But a lot of the generation is more of I'm feeling, it's not about just taking what someone else says, but they're actually questioning themselves. And I feel like they're a lot faster, and they're seeing like, hey, this is needed within me. I don't like how my childhood was, or I don't like the current state of my life. And they're actually actively seeking. And that's the difference, like actively seeking, as opposed to waiting until you get older, because that's what you're probably told, like you got to work and do all this. And then once you get to near retirement, or, that stage of you're alone or whatever, then you start. So I think it's a mind shift and also a world shift.
So an overall mind shift with kind of the current generation.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
And so the question I love to ask, and I know people love to hear, is just how did you come to this place? How did you end up doing what you're doing now? Like, tell us a bit about that journey of from what you were doing before, and then now you're the spiritual coach working with women.
Okay. So as I said before, I was born in Canada. I traveled a lot of places all over the world. And I've always been an intuitive since I was a kid. On top of that, I deal with an illness called sickle cell anemia, which affects my blood my blood cells and oxygen, right? So it creates excruciating pain on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so my outlook on life was, I saw it differently. Let's make things happen, like, let's see what I can do. And so my first part of my journey was entertainment. So I did modeling, acting. I was featured in a few movies. I did a lot of different fashion shows, and what else? And just being in that process, and then launching into corresponding for Fashion Week, Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week in New York. And so I did that for a few years. And then I got to a point of like, I didn't like it anymore. I didn't like the fluff. I wanted something more real and more concrete and more like, even though I love that side, I wanted something that I knew another person, because I was people who were insecure. I was around people who was always anxious, around people that if something wasn't absolutely perfect, they had the serious, wildest meltdowns. And being in an environment of everything has to be perfect. I got tired of that. And I just went on a journey of trying to figure out myself and figure out what I want to do in my own life, besides just like, okay, let's the next thing. I wanted to slow down and really find myself, because I felt like I lost myself in that mix, as well as in my personal life. My relationships were not great either. And so there was a lot of things that was happening during that time. And the first thing I did was go to my art, and started, doing artwork and drawing, and just to release a lot of the things that was so built up inside me. And then it was just like one day, several people would, friends of mine would call me, and they were always asking me for advice. Always like, what's going on? What do you think, Naj? Do you think I should do this? Or what's your perspective? And I would give it, and I'll be raw about it. And they were actually using it, and they had success with that. And I was just slowly, it was like such a slow journey of being encouraged of, you should do something with this, Najaam. You should help other people, because you have a voice and you have a knack for seeing what another person's not able to see. And so I started on a journey of, first I studied Ayurveda and aromatherapy, and then I went into studying in Egyptian mystery school, teachings, and launching into that. And then it just led me on a path of learning about Reiki and African spirituality and Hinduism, and took all that in me and just ran with it, because I'm a person, like, I love adventure. I love experiencing as much things as I can that's going to elevate me. And so that took me on a journey of self-discovery. And I started to write my spoken word poetry, perform them, and just really developing my voice, really developing my expression. And making sure, one thing I was like, if I'm going to tell somebody to do something, I need to first do it myself. So I took myself through that of, learning and doing the things of, working on my past traumas, past issues, working on current issues, and so forth. So it's a long journey, but it was a process for me to go through that helped me to help others and like feel really comfortable of, okay, yeah, I can do it, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a lot of encouragement along the way from other people who saw something,
Yeah.
and I tried it, and I was like, all right, I'll do it, you know.
No, that's powerful. And even when you were trying out Ayurveda and Reiki and Egyptian, a mystical school, you said you're following all these different things or trying these different things. What was guiding that? Was it just your own interest, or kind of were you trying to go on a certain path? Can you talk about that a bit?
At first it wasn't so much on a certain path, right? I would say like, well, we would say in my team, it would be like, oh, you know, it's my ancestors guiding me, you know,
Yeah.
my higher spirit, my higher self.
Yeah.
And so I just trusted it. So, you know, I first studied all 5 religions, leaping into Ayurveda. So, you know, Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism.
Mm.
And then I flow. I said, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
And then Veda, what's next? Aromatherapy,
Yeah.
what's next? I just flowed like that. Yeah.
Amazing.
And I take what comes with it, like whatever I'm supposed to learn and take from it, I hold on to it and I practice it. And then if it helps me, awesome. I'm not so locked into the concrete standards of religion. I'm not locked into that because I feel like a piece of everything, and then spirit just guides you. And whatever spirit guides you to, then, you know, I just flow with it. I don't get too rigid with standards and it has to be this way or whatever, because I feel like there's the piece of everything for a person and a spirit that's needed and you align with.
Yeah. And it sounds like essentially you had already your first clients. You had friends coming to you, people seeking you for advice. Why do you feel you were kind of from the get-go, the person people like, oh, I'm asking her for advice. She knows what's up.
I don't know. I feel like maybe my personality, and also too, I think, you know, when another person is guided to another person, there's something that you are there to offer, you know, and maybe they felt something in my tone, my mannerism, that they felt comfortable to like not only express to me, but also take a suggestion from me. And I just feel like it's a spiritual guidance that happens, and it's magnetic, you
Yeah.
know, and magnet, no matter what is what's going on around you, if you're pulled to that direction, you will be in that direction, no matter what. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an extremely important lesson for everyone watching. And it's come up a few times with people I've spoken to is be aware of what people are already coming to you for. Like people are saying to you, like, oh, I always trust you about this, or they're asking you about yoga every time. Like maybe that's your thing, even if it's just being your passion. If people are asking you, they obviously have a certain level of trust and they believe you have a certain level of knowledge that you can teach others. So it's like, be aware. And even if people aren't currently pushing you as much, like they were with you, it's like, just see, what do they keep on asking you about? But in your case, it was a kind of right in your face. People like, you need to do this type of thing.
Right, right. Yeah, self-awareness is key. And also, as you said, absolutely being aware, because other people tell you who you
Mm,
are.
mm,
You know, like they guide you in that direction of who you are. It's just for you to listen and be open to it, because they actually can see better than you can see. It's like you're in the box, but they're outside looking in the box, and they can see clearly who you are and what you are. So have a notebook and a pen and get ready to write.
I mean, on that note, so you started working with people, I imagine, from people already approaching you, they became official clients. And as things have developed, as you mentioned, what people were saying to you, did that kind of influence the directions you would go in? Like how you said, you've started this online store now as well, you've written the book. Like, how did those things kind of come about? Like, what inspired them? Those like changes in direction, not direction, but offers.
Each of these like directions came from clients.
Yeah.
So for instance, the Spiritual Sessions Academy, it was a client who said, you do these great videos and teachings on spirituality and you're so knowledgeable, Naj. Why don't you do a course? Okay. I don't know anything about courses, so learning curve. And it's like, I'll pay for it. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah. And I said, okay, you get me 5 other people and I'll do it. And she got me 5 other people.
Wow. She was a true believer. Yeah. She wanted it.
She wanted it.
Yeah.
And then for the store, again, a client was like, I'm having a hard time finding some of the things you're telling me to get. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that feeling of having a hard time. And so for me, I was just like, okay, light bulb moment. Let me put together the essentials. It doesn't have to be everything, but it's the things I always suggest for them to get. I can, so it'll make it easier. It's a one-stop shop. You get your coaching and you get your products, everything that you need in one space. And it's just essentials. So that's how I'm just very an open person. I always look at myself as water, as the ocean of flowing. And wherever the direction is, I'm open to it, to listening and to try it. It doesn't hurt to try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, that's cool. That's awesome too. I can do something else, but I flow like water.
It also sounds like what you said is you have amazing awareness, and also, like you said, you're listening. You're keeping an ear open for what your clients are saying to you, and you're actually paying attention and you're noting those things down. Like, I'm thinking back to all the people I've worked with in various ways, and they've probably also said so many things that maybe just went over my head and I didn't really internalize them. There could have been opportunities there. So I think that's a good lesson for people already in the space of what you're doing is, what else are people saying to you? Like, what are potential pain points that they're bringing up in just like a tangential conversation, just kind of like a quick throwaway comment, like, oh, I'm finding it so hard to find all the things I need, or like, oh, I wish there was a single place I could access all your material, type of thing.
Yes. I learned that just by like I've taken a lot of courses and a lot of attending different conferences, and it's not really sad, but you can pick it up like they're listening, and so I was just okay, let me make sure I'm listening, because as I've learned, your clients and other people have an idea of how they see you, and that's how they see me. They see me as your spiritual life coach. You are you have insight, you're intuitive. Naj is able to see way more than I'm able to see for myself. Naj is able to guide me with the right things or the right tools. I really take that in, and I have notebooks all over the place where I'll just write. I'll just jot notes down and of what they're saying to me, and I lock it in, you know, keep it there, and then I'll go back to it and I'll be like, okay, cool. So like the book came because I was also going through a lot of anxiety, you know, especially with my past of being in the fashion world, entertainment world. That can really drive a person like on eggshells, and you know, being around something like super fast paced all the time, and then how that affected me physically. And as I said, like I'm really connected, especially with Hinduism, and my connection with Hinduism is with the goddesses, and one of the goddesses is K.A.L.I. And I studied her. My guru that I have, Durga, she recommended for me to study all the 10 goddesses of Hinduism. And the one that really struck me was K.A.L.I and Durga. So K.A.L.I, as I studied, she deals with the mind. She deals with the cloudiness of the mind. She deals with the illusions of the mind, the things that we believe, the things that fill our heads on a consistent basis. And she is, as they talk about her being this, you know, violent, raging warrior, what it really is like she's about cutting the darkness in order for light to come through, cutting the crap. So that's why you see her cut the heads, cut your head off. And she has the heads that she has around her is really about cutting out the illusions we believe. And so I had an experience with her where she came to me in a vision and she just yelled out, "Kill anxiety." I was like, what? And she's like, "Kill anxiety, live immensely." I didn't, that name came to me. And I was like, K.A.L.I, oh, that's your name. And it's like, okay. And she came again with that, like really hard, like write it. And I started researching. It took me a couple years and really researching, trying to understand from both aspects, from a medical aspect and a Hinduism aspect. And then the book came together with her direction, and I was just meant to being the vessel for that. And I was like, wow, you know, you're right. Like anxiety is a lot of, you know, what's going on here and how you perceive things, and that it can become this big mushroom that can be so out of control. And she shows you how to bring that back into oneness. And it's okay to be anxious, but it's how you channel that and how you bring it and how you can release it. And I learned a lot writing that book because it helped to heal my own anxiety, you know, issues that I was going through.
It's powerful. So it sounds like, as you said, it kind of, this one didn't quite come from listening to clients and what was coming up with them, but it was what was coming up for yourself. So it's almost, the book is your own journey of resolving and working through your anxiety and the journey and the learnings you took away from it.
Yes, absolutely. And it was amazing. I loved every part of it because I learned so much about technique and how to utilize it right away when you're going through an anxiety episode. And I thought that was really, really key. Yeah. So it's in the book. It's in the book.
We'll definitely include links to it and everything. And I think that there's a big point there in that people can learn as well and benefit massively from your own learnings. It's just whatever you're learning, whatever you're working on, you can put it out in some form. In your case, it was a beautiful, full-on book, but some people could just be YouTube videos, it could be Facebook Lives, like, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is what I learned today. This was amazing. But in your case, you put it into this beautiful written book.
Absolutely. 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 Like, it's just, you know, like every day I think a lot of people post, right? You write, especially those that write. You're really writing a book. You can take all those posts that you've done within a year, 2 years, and create a book, because you will see like there's a thread there.
Yeah.
And you will think, okay, maybe not, because I was talking something else. But if you add it all up, you have a thread that actually is cohesive, you know?
Yeah. No, that's awesome. One thing I'd like to double back to just before we start wrapping up is, so you mentioned you'd been in this intense environment of the fashion world in various ways, but in correspondence, but also modeling yourself. And how long were you actually involved with that whole world and variations of it?
I've been in the entertainment since I was a kid, right? So I started out, I think I was like 11, of doing like modeling. And then I went out to California during school and started with modeling and acting. And so I said I've been in that environment maybe 20 years or so.
Yeah.
It's a very long time, and from both sides, being in front of the camera and behind the camera, and having those two experiences. Yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a journey.
Yeah, and you mentioned you'd already been very intuitive from a young age, and you had people often coming to you for advice. But was it directly because of being in that entertainment world, and the energies can be quite heavy and very not necessarily positive influences and experiences? Did that push you onto that journey of I need to work on myself and start exploring? Is that kind of what actually started the learnings for you?
Yeah, you could say, yeah, definitely. With you're seeing other people and how they are, right? You're surrounded and you're bombarded, right? So for those that don't know, like you're going on auditions, you're going on set, photo shoots, to film, to whatever, and we'll bring everything on and offset. So you are bombarded. Oh, you're too fat today. I don't need you to be in this outfit. You need to change it. I don't like the hair. Her skin needs to be a little like, it's like ongoing. And all of it was this thick energy. And I didn't like it anymore after a while, because it brought in a persona that I did not, where you're always like having to fight just to, something that's supposed to be so simple and easy and flow. Someone is always critiquing, always lashing out, and after a while it's just not fun anymore. In my aspects, really heavy. So it drew me inward, and just really picking up. And as an intuitive or empath, you are feeling everybody's energy. I can feel people's energy before coming on set. So you already, someone woke up wrong side of the bed and they're ready to take it out on the whole team or the talent or whatever, so it's a lot of learning to protect or shield yourself, and at the time I didn't know how to do that, as that young. I didn't know how to protect myself or shield my aura, my being, so that I don't have to feel and be in facing all the time, you know? So I would say that was a big part of my journey, and started to dive inward and say, okay, there has to be something else besides this, because this is all fluff, not real, you know? We're creating reality, but it's not real reality. Yeah.
Yeah. But it sounds like the first step is having that awareness, which sounds like it's really come to you naturally of this doesn't feel right. I feel like there needs to be more to this, and then trusting that, and then starting to look and see what kind of is out there.
Exactly. And not being afraid to, because a lot of people will try to interject. So you have to not be afraid to say, I'm going to try something else, or I'm going to do something else, and just do it, you know, and not afraid to do it. Just go do it. There's something else on the other side. You know, it's not just one of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, your journey's been extremely inspirational. I think people are going to learn a lot from coming from that one extreme of the entertainment world, which, like you said, is very superficial based. It's very heavy energy. And then you're obviously doing what you're doing now, helping people in an amazing way. So yeah, firstly, I just want to thank you as we start wrapping up for the time today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and allow me to just share my story, and that someone gets from it. It's like, you know, you can definitely be yourself. You can definitely do what you want. It's just listening and tuning to you, and not being afraid to tune into you. You're your compass, so to speak. And sometimes we're so rushy that we're just all over the place. You know, sometimes we just need to be still. What helps you to be still? Is it going to the beach? Is it walking up the mountains? Is it doing trail? Is it biking? Whatever that is that allows you to go within and hear and listen, is going to be the best direction you're going to get of tuning yourself in, so that you can hear not only on the inside but also on the outside. Who comes onto your path? You know, who's that person that comes onto your path? Why are they there? It's not just out of, oh, it's just a coincidence. There's no coincidence. Every person that comes on your path, there is something there that they're offering. You know, it's just for us to see and hear and listen.
Yeah, it's a powerful note to end on. And I'll obviously include all links in the show notes and the description. But for those who want to reach out to you and connect with you and see more of what you're doing, what's like the best way for them to do that?
You can definitely go to Instagram. I'm an Instagram girl. So you can go to Instagram at Najaam Lee. You can DM me, you can follow me there. And you can also go to my website. It's just like my name, najaamlee.com. And it'll lead you to all the other things that I'm doing, all the other links and everything as well. And if you're looking for a reading, I got a lot coming up, especially for July 4th. So you definitely want to check that out. And yeah, I look forward to talking to you guys and linking up, and seeing how I can be of assistance in your life, in your journey.
Incredible. Yeah, thanks so much for the time today.
Thank you, Gavin. Thank you so much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Automator series as much as I enjoyed having it. And there are two things I want you to do now. I want you firstly to follow me on YouTube, get that subscription in, because you're going to see all the new episodes popping up in that case, and you can stay on top of the series. And the second thing is, I want you to reach out to me. If anything we discussed on the episode today resonated with you in regards to potentially taking a jump into an online spiritual coaching business, or you already have a business and you're wanting to grow that out and you're feeling like you could be impacting a lot more lives, but you don't quite have the time right now, you don't quite have the freedom you wanted, and you don't quite have those systems in place, I want you to reach out to me. It's a no pressure, no strings attached. Send me a message on Facebook, LinkedIn, email, whatever you prefer, and we can just have a conversation and a bit of a back and forth in regards to where you're at, what you're looking for, and how I might be able to help you impact more lives with what you're doing.